Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. Today's webinar is really all about student experience, and specifically student experience for students within our School of Health and Science. So today we will be covering a variety of topics aimed at really giving you a greater insight to what you can expect as a student within the School of Health and Science. And we have some great students on board today at different stages within their academic careers, from different backgrounds, and with all with different experiences to talk about. So just to introduce them today, we have Yvonne, who's a third year veterinary nursing student from County Dublin. We have Laura, who is a first year general nursing student from Dundalk. We have Gia Wei, who is a fourth year biopharmaceutical science student currently living in Dundalk, but originally from Malaysia. And we have Sharon, who is also a third year veterinary nursing student in the same class as Yvonne, and is from County Dublin also. So today we're going to take each of our students in turn, who are going to introduce themselves and give us a little bit more insight into their own personal experience of applying to DkIT, choosing their course, and currently talking about where they are at within their academic careers to date. So without further ado, we're going to start with our first student, Yvonne, who is going to tell us a little bit more about her experience as a third year veterinary nursing student, and talk a bit more about her motivations for choosing that course and how she has found her experience to date at DkIT. I'm just going to remove myself. Over to you, Yvonne.
Okay, so thank you, Thomas. So I'm a third year veterinary nursing student on the final stretch now. So just coming up to Christmas exams, and then we've only got one semester left, which looking forward to and a little bit nervous about. But so I've got a really long story about how I ended up in DkIT. Obviously, I'm a mature student. I don't know whether you know that or not, but I'm 37, and previously I did do a BA in science at one of the larger universities. So, and then I was in a job for 12 years, and it was coming to the point where I wasn't happy in my job, and I was either going to probably stay there till I was 65 and be miserable, or just, bite the bullet and be brave and go back to education. So that's what I decided to do. And I knew I wanted to do veterinary nursing because I'm a huge animal lover, and I'd worked in a few different practices and stuff. So veterinary nursing was always going to be for me. I'm not a business head. I'm not into languages, nothing like that. Fair play to people who are. I'm not. I'm an animal person. That's it. So I looked around the different colleges, and I knew in my heart and soul I didn't want to go back to one of the bigger universities. I didn't want to sit in a lecture hall with hundreds of people again. And be a number to your lecturer. That's number. In DkIT, I'm Yvonne McCann. Hi, Yvonne. Walking down the corridor, everyone knows you. Very, very personal university, and that's what I love about Dundalk. It's the relationship that we have with our lecturers is alien to me in terms of third level education, because they are your first name basis. They know your ins and outs. They know your personal story. So approachable. You're given their office number on day one. You're shown where it is. Knock on my door anytime. And they literally mean it. You go in, you sit down, have a cup of tea, and sometimes that might be in floods of tears, joy, or just, I can't do this, it's too much. But they're always there to listen to your story. And, that is just so foreign to me, and just really made a difference when I went back to college. As well as that, DkIT, I had talked to a lot of vets and nurses, and I said, I'm thinking, there's a few different colleges for veterinary nursing. Where am I going to go? And every single one of them said, go to DkIT. There's no comparison between the practical skills you will get in Dundalk over the other courses. And I'm sure they're amazing courses, but for me, I wanted the hands-on. I'm not overly academic, so for me, the hands-on is especially important. The vets always say, as soon as a DkIT nursing student qualifies, they're just ready to hit the ground running, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to go out to practice and start my career instead of going out and having to learn again and again and again. So that's what I love about DkIT. Just the personal relationships, the people in my class, with Sharon there, you know, formed lifelong friendships that will go way beyond campus. You know, I know me and Sharon will still be friends when, you know, we're 70 and 80 years of age, still talking about DkIT. But yeah, just the size of the college for me is what done it for me. And as I said, particularly in our department, everyone knows each other. Everyone knows what's going on in each other's lives. But there is still that separation of professionalism and friendliness. You know, we get the job done, but, you know, in a friendly manner. And I love that. Our labs are really, really small labs. So this year with the COVID, we were broken down into pods. So there's only like 5 or 6 of us in a lab, and it's brilliant because you've all the equipment there, all the up-to-date equipment that you need going out into practice is all there in DkIT. And you've got access to it all the time. And with the smaller classes then as well, it means you've got much more time to get your practical experience. So yeah, so that's kind of it. If I had any advice for anybody coming back to college, particularly as a mature student, you know, it can be pretty daunting, particularly if you've got family and you've got other commitments. You know, money obviously is a huge issue. We all have like great ambitions, but it, you know, the 3 or 4 years that you go back to college, how are you going to fund that? So my advice to people would be just save, and try not to work a lot when you're in college. I know that's impossible for some people. You know, I do work, but I try not to, you know, work a lot, because you obviously want to knuckle down, particularly as a mature student. You know, you're there, you're focused, you're there for a reason. You want to get your degree, and you want to do well. You know, you don't might necessarily just want to pass. You want to do well. So, you know, put all your energies into that, and, you know, just try and have a bit of money there on the side if you can. But if it's something you really want, particularly I find with veterinary nursing, you'll make it work. And that's what I found. Yeah.
Brilliant. Great. Thanks very much, Yvonne. That was great. A lot of content there that we'll come back to in the Q&A, but certainly the big thing I get from your experience is the massive life choice that you made to come back to education, and it was something that you were really, really sure about when you came in. So we'll probably touch on some of those areas in the Q&A afterwards, but thanks a million. So I am going to bring our next student in. So Chee away, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Chee away is as I said, a 4th year biopharmaceutical science student. Came here from Malaysia 4 years ago to study at DkIT. So has a very interesting experience as to how she started into college life and her introduction to DkIT, and obviously all of the aspects of student life that come with that. So Chee away, if you don't mind, I'm just going to put you in speaker mode, and it's over to you to introduce yourself. Thanks a million.
Thank you so much, Thomas. So I'm Chee Wei. I'm currently 22, so I started college when I was 19 or so. So my experience was that I just finished high school. It was around January. I was thinking, oh, what should I do next? Because I have like a decent enough high school diploma. I knew I wanted to go abroad, but I wasn't sure kind of which country to go to. I was thinking of Europe, but obviously one of the reasons that people may not be able to go abroad is for the money reasons. So then I went to a kind of an agency, and they said, oh, DkIT has a program for international students where they can fund your accommodation. So all you have to do is pay for your school fees, and they'll like let you stay for free. So I was like, okay. So I talked to my dad, and he's like, yeah, sure, we'll talk to your mom, because my mom makes the decision. So we kind of spoke as a family. It's like, all right, yeah, you want to go abroad, and it's like a fair enough rate, so we'll let you go. So I was quite happy to kind of apply. I didn't hear back for 3 weeks. I thought I lost the offer, but then the agency got back to me, said, you're lucky, you're going to Ireland in like 3 months. It's like, okay. So for the 3 months then I spent working for a bit before coming over. About a week or so before coming to DkIT, then they had like a little meeting, kind of told us, oh, Ireland's going to be cold, what do you have to prepare for, kind of what's the life like, because the Dock's like a small enough like city, so it's not quite like Dublin.
Yeah.
So they kind of told us like kind of what to look out for, how you're going to do your shopping, how you're going to get around, who do you call, what buses to take, like literally so much information. It's quite overwhelming. But they got us on a plane, about 9 of us. We didn't know each other. We just met at the airport, like, hi, we're all going to school together. So we just kind of slept through the plane, got to Dublin airport, and then we came to the Dock. We settled in. They took us to Belfast and Dublin for like today. So it's quite interesting, like kind of settling in, getting used to the people, the culture, and all that. So in terms of how school was on the first year, they gave us a lot of good information about the basis of the course. So like you would do chemistry, biology, physics, and health and safety. So those were the kind of core science subjects that you would get into. So no matter if you were a science student, I was in high school. If you aren't, that's fine. They'll start you from scratch. Everyone kind of starts on a level playing field, so you don't really have to worry about much. So I found that really, really good because we did have students who didn't have any experience, but they were willing to learn. So that's like really good in terms of what DkIT offers for people who mightn't know anything about science, but they want to kind of get into it, or they think it might be good for them in the future. So I definitely think in terms of that, that was really good. Teachers are so nice here. Like as Yvonne said, like you can knock on their door and like say, hey, I might have this problem, or you just wanted to chat. That time, they will definitely like, welcome you in, give you a little talk. But yeah, so far, fourth year now, I'm on my last semester. It's very, very busy. Definitely an upgrade from my, because I was doing a level 7 before for 3 years, and then you have the option of adding on a course, so an extra year. It's definitely an upgrade, much more difficult, lots of stuff to write, a bit less hands-on from the lecturers. They kind of expect you to know a bit more and put in more effort and work, but definitely I think I made the right choice. Hopefully I'll graduate with flying colors this year. Back to you, Thomas.
Brilliant. Thanks, GOA. That was great. Yeah, really interesting introduction to DkIT, and obviously very different from the other students on board today who, I think that, and we'll talk about some of that area, as somebody who wasn't familiar with the area where you were studying, how you got to grips with that, and what was your first experiences of DkIT in terms of getting to know people and things. So we'll talk about some of that in the Q&A later. So thanks very much. I'm just going to bring in Laura. So Laura is a first year general nursing student, so literally joined DkIT a number of months ago. So we'll have a very different experience to some of the other students who have been here a number of years. Laura, as I said, lives in Dundalk, so is local to the region. But Laura, if I could get you to just give an overview of how your first few months have gone for you, and also maybe just talk about some of the motivations for choosing DkIT, if that's all right.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. So a little bit about myself. So I am also a mature student, and my journey, I would consider that it actually started early January, because I had to do loads of preparation because of it's a nursing kind of medical field you're going into. So we had to do nursing exam for MBI, and only then when you passed the exam you were actually able to get into the DkIT. So there was a lot of preparation into all this, so yeah, and it's a completely different experience to other students, because this is like, obviously I joined during the COVID, and I didn't really know what to expect. It was very confusing. We had induction day. That was one of the days when I met all the classmates, but we were also split in pods, so there was only 12 people in a classroom. So it's about 4 classes we had all together, and the teachers were just speaking, kind of introducing to the course and that. So far I've been into the college, I think 3 or 4 days, but all the other time it's online, so you're just sitting in front of your computer. The lectures have been fine. You do have to make a big commitment. It's a lot of studying and assignments. We have some exams in this semester as well as in January, but time management would be a big thing. The time management, you kind of have to prioritize everything that you do. As beforehand, it was just, you work and you come home and it's fine, you're more laid back. But when you go into the college, you have to do it, and that's it. There's a deadline for that assignment, and you have to do loads of other things as well for the college. But it's definitely doable, but you just have to manage your time. That would be my biggest advice to anybody, because I am mature student, as I mentioned, but I'm also a mom. So the family life as well is kind of a thing where you have to kind of cross the line and kind of decide, you know. As well as teachers, I have to say they are very supportive. You can definitely see that they're willing to help you. You know, I would consider that I have a really good relationship to some of the teachers. You know, some lecturers would prefer to kind of pre-record the lecture, so you have to listen to it later. Some of the lectures are live, so it's like a group-based, something like this, you know, so it's like a group-based meeting and lectures. So they show you PowerPoints and you just take down your notes. To me, I don't know any difference. So I suppose maybe for third year students, it might be actually sometimes more challenging because they're used to being on campus and now they have to do it online. As for me, it's just been online. So I don't know any different, you know. So from that point of view, I'd say you just go with the flow.
Yeah. That
That's about it.
That's brilliant. That was that's great. I'm going to bring myself up. Yeah, no, Laura, like, I mean, nobody could argue this semester is like unlike no other. Last semester was very challenging because of the change, and this semester we never in the time of DkIT has there been a cohort of students that have come on to campus and had to go through, you know, pretty much predominantly online teaching and learning. We all hope, and I think everyone's hoping, that eventually this will all pass and it'll go back to some semblance of normality. But I mean, your experience in terms of the first few months of college, you know, we'll talk about some of that, and I think it's really useful to know, because I suppose irrespective of if it's online or offline, you'll probably still get a sense of what, you know, what DkIT is and how the culture has come through both, you know, your experience to date and hopefully how that will evolve over the next number of years. So we'll definitely come back to some of that in the Q&A. So thanks a million for that. It was very, very interesting intro. So I'm just going to bring in our final student online today, Sharon. So Sharon is a third year veterinary nursing student alongside Yvonne. So basically, Sharon, if I could get you just give an overview again of where you came from, how you ended up with choosing DkIT and choosing the course that you're studying, and how you found the experience so far. So I'll just remove myself. Over to you. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Thomas. As Yvonne said, I'm on the last stretch now. Woohoo! I survived. No, it's been a great experience. It took me a long while to get here. I'm 48. I'll be 49, nearly 50 when I qualify. So I wanted DkIT I've always wanted to do veterinary nursing, and my heart was set on DkIT. I wasn't going to any other college. So I applied 3 years in a row. So I applied the first year, I didn't get it. So last minute, I did a level 5 animal care course. So I applied then the next year, I didn't get it again. I didn't even get an interview. Like you do an interview as a mature student. I didn't get that far. So I did a level 6. So then when I applied again, I got an interview. So I remember in the interview, 2 of our lecturers, and they're so lovely. They interviewed me and they said, what are you going to do if you don't get a place? And I said, I'm just going to keep applying. Like, you may as well take me on now and save yourself the bother, because I'm coming here. I said, I'm just going to keep applying till I get a place. I was so determined because, as Yvonne said, vets and nurses I spoke to, they all said DkIT students they're great. They've so much practical experience. They really kind of know their stuff. We do a lot of hands-on, you know, over the course, a lot more than some of the other courses do. So I really wanted it, and I was determined to get in. I don't regret it at all. You know, it's all I've ever wanted to do, and I still know it's what I want to do. I had a very different life beforehand. I'm a qualified beauty therapist and massage therapist. So I'd worked on cruise ships for a few years. Then I came back and had a baby, like seriously. He's 22 now. So it was just the right time for me. And I'm so glad I didn't get the places. Like, things happen for a reason. And I'm really glad I didn't get the places, because I couldn't have coped with, I'd been 20 something years out of college. So doing the level 5 and the level 6, that made it prepared me for, you know, assignments. And I'd never done assignments in school. Computers, oh my God, like, you know, it was just awful. So it really helped me and prepared me. And I couldn't believe when I came in. I remember our first week, and I was dreading it. I was so nervous. I come across as really confident, you know, and I was like, oh, you're coming in. I was really nervous underneath it, but it was just brilliant. They do a brilliant induction week. We done treasure hunts and things like that. And it just really bonded the class. And it was amazing. It was so personal. I was expecting it to be, as Yvonne was saying, you know, you're just a number. And it wasn't at all like that. So the lecturers, they are brilliant. They're so good at teaching. They are so, I kind of feel like some of them are my friend. They're very professional, but at the same time, you can go to them with any problem, and their door is always open for you. If you have a problem, do go to them, because they are so helpful. If you're struggling with learning, they'll try and bring it around to a way that you can understand. You know, so if you found PowerPoints better, for example, they'll put up PowerPoints for you. You know, just something, whatever way your way of learning is, they will accommodate you, and they'll bend over backwards to help you. It's just, even in the corridors, as Yvonne said, everybody knows everybody. The shop girls come, we go in, hi Sharon, hi Yvonne. The girls in the restaurant, like, it's just lovely throughout the whole college. Everybody's so lovely and so obliging and helpful, and it's a great college to be in. If I could give any advice, I'd say stay on top of your work. I used to go to the library after college. Like, I have an hour's drive, so rather than driving home, you know, sitting in traffic, I'd go to the library for a couple of hours, try to keep on top of what we have to do. There is a lot of content in veterinary nursing, but it's worth it, and it is enjoyable. And there is times you're going to be like, oh my God, what am I doing? But in general, like, it's enjoyable. The people in your class become your family. So, you know, it's good. You bond with them, you get close to them, and then you've your lecturers for the support. It's a great place to be.
Brilliant. Sharon, thanks a million for that. Good. If there was one thing I get from yours, it was the determination of making, you know, knowing what you wanted and making sure you got there, which is, you know, and everyone, it's true of veterinary nursing and all of the courses on here, like they're high demand courses. So it's a huge achievement to get on. So well done on that. And for some of you have nearly finished. So that's even more impressive. So what I'm going to do now is, thanks a million. We're going to go into Q&A mode. So we're all going to come up on screen. Oh, sorry. Just add everyone. There we go. And basically in this section, we're going to go through some of the key questions that, you know, that some of our applicants might be considering or thinking about at this time. We're going to go through a few areas. We're going to start with, I suppose a lot of our applicants at the minute are still in that decision-making stage. They're still unsure about where they're going or what they're going to do. So we're going to talk about that process a little bit more in detail and talk about everyone's own, you know, experience of that decision-making period. Then we're going to talk about that first transition into college, and from whatever background. So we have students here who have come from school, we have students who have come from other areas of work, students who have come from, you know, or are still balancing family life with student life. So all of that is really important. So we're going to talk about some of that area. Then a lot of people have talked to date already about the student experience at DkIT and how it's sort of, you know, there is a difference to the type of experience you get at DkIT, and we're going to talk about some of the key areas both within the class and the type of teaching and learning that you take part in, but also outside of the class, and the social life and all the things that maybe come up together with college as well. And then finally, we're going to end with the reason, I suppose, what a lot of us come to college is, you know, the career aspect. So we're going to talk about you know, how you have been preparing for the workplace, or be preparing for the profession that you're studying towards, and maybe ways in which the DkIT has helped you do that. So I might just start with the first area, so of research and motivation. So maybe just everyone, we've 3 different courses here, so I might just talk to different people about how they decided on the particular course that they were doing, and where they weren't sure, how did they do their research to find out that it was the right one. So maybe I'll start with Laura, if that's okay, in terms of general nursing. How did you know nursing was for you, and then with that, how did you know DkIT was the right one?
So why I picked nursing was because I'm actually really willing to help people, and I believe I can make a difference into their lives, you know. I do have some friends and people that have come to me in the past, and they have studied nursing, and it has been DkIT, not only nursing, but different courses as well, like accounting and that. So they all recommended DkIT, and it was kind of really good feedback. And to me, obviously, it was local, you know, so I didn't have to travel anywhere. But my first choice was general nursing DkIT. I didn't apply for any other colleges as well, so I got what I wanted.
Well,
so
great.
I picked nursing, yeah, to look after people, you know.
Yeah, well, I think that's an important part.
Research, I just kind of asked around other people, you know, got their opinion. I did some research online, but that's different. I'd rather get experience from other people that have studied there, you know. I think that kind of gives you a better idea of what the college is actually about. As online, you know, it's kind of broad information, and all the details, it's kind of just sometimes hard to understand, you know. So I rather take the actual feedback from people. So that was my kind of guideline.
Definitely. I mean, talking to people is key. I think that's one thing this year, even with our open days, you know, that's not going to be as possible in terms of on campus, but there's lots of online events happening. So I'd encourage everyone to check out our website, DkIT/open days, where you'll find more information there. But also, you know, ask around. I think that if you're interested in a particular profession, talk to people within that profession, and also if you know people who've come to DkIT, and within our website we also have opportunities to ask and to arrange a meeting with a lecturer or a student, where we can arrange that as well. I might just go to then to Yvonne. Just you've come from Dublin, so you know, unlike Laura, where I suppose DkIT was on her doorstep. You know, how did you know about DkIT, and how did you realize it was right? I think you mentioned some of this in your introduction, but how did you find out that DkIT was where you wanted to go versus other colleges, I suppose, closer to you maybe in Dublin?
Yeah, well, I suppose it's a much of a much really in terms of travel, whether I was going to go to DkIT or UCD. But as I said before, I just didn't want to go to one of the bigger universities again. I'd been there, I'd done that, and it was fine, but I really wanted a smaller experience. And then, as I said, any vets and nurses that I'd spoken to just spoke so highly of Dundalk that, you know, it wasn't even a choice in the end, to be honest. It was, you're going to Dundalk, that's it. Because, you know, any of the vets would say, look, as I said, you're hitting the ground running. We get something like 6 months of work placement in our 3-year degree. It's not really comparable to other courses and their level of work experience. So, you know, we're ready to, you know, take blood, put in cannulas, all that on day one, you know, and I think that blows their mind sometimes that we've such hands-on. And it takes me about an hour, like Sharon, about an hour and 10 minutes to get to Dundalk. Also, you're going against the traffic, which really was brilliant, because I spent 12 years on the M50 going southbound every morning, and just, it's so nice to be able to go northbound on the M1 and watch all the traffic jams on the other side. So,
definitely.
Yeah, that was definitely another reason as well.
Yeah. Well, Sharon, you can probably you like that you're in Dublin, so it's obviously from a vet nursing point of view, the reputation really stood for itself in terms of DkIT. The hands-on side of things, was that a factor for you, Sharon, when you were considering your course? You knew about that in advance, did you?
Yeah, like UCD would probably, as a crow flies, it would be closer to me. But then you're on the M50 car park for 2 hours, you know. So as Yvonne said, you're going the opposite way to the traffic.
Yeah.
Sharon, please tell Thomas about you sabotaging the interview you got for another university.
I had an interview with another university the same year. I hadn't got any, and I applied to this other one as well. And I went for the interview, and straight away got this awful vibe, and I just feel I sabotaged the interview. If I don't get Dundalk, I don't know what I'm going to do.
So you had all your
There's no more levels that I can go. I can't do a level 7 animal care, or you know, sabotage that one.
Well, like it obviously worked. Your approach, whatever you did, worked in the interview, and you got here. So that's a great sign. Great. And GOA, what I was going to ask you was obviously for you, how you came up with DkIT is, you know, with all the competition worldwide. We're interested to know how that happened. Was it through your agent, and then also how did you know that science was your area of focus? Did you already have that clear when you were making your mind up?
So I did do science when I was in high school. I wasn't terribly great, but I wasn't bad, so it's kind of average. So I told my mom, I want to continue science. She's like, if you get a good grade, I'll let you continue. If you flunk, you're coming back home. I was like, okay. So my mom like kind of gave me one more chance, and she's like, right, go and apply. The agency showed us like a map of Ireland and kind of ticked off all the big universities. My grade wasn't as good enough to get me into Maynooth or like Dublin or anywhere like really prestigious, but he's like, DkIT is not bad, and your grades are like fine, so try there. And I was like, okay. So then there were 2 courses that he recommended, where one was the bioscience, which is more of a general science, and then one was the pharmaceutical, which obviously is more chemistry, more biology, more industrial. So then I thought of like the career choice. Okay, I guess I do prefer the biological side, the pharmaceutical sides, kind of making drugs, you know, testing drugs and all that. So in my mind, I was like, okay, yeah, this is kind of what I want to do. So I'll give it a shot. And then I applied, and here I am now. So
great, perfect. So you did your research as well, which was good. So no, the next bit was just really I was going to talk about how you found those first few weeks of either just about to start college or what your first few weeks of college. Just thinking back, obviously for Laura that wasn't that long ago, but for other people it's a few years ago. So maybe we'll start with Laura, because your experience is going to be very different from everyone else's. But maybe talk about, you know, I suppose just even before you came to college, had you prepared in any way? Did you know, apart from speaking to people, was there anything that you could, with hindsight, you would advise others to start doing if once they find out they've got that offer?
Yeah, so for the preparation wise, I was just really waiting for the induction day, you know, to kind of see what materials or books should I buy, or maybe some research I should do, or reading lists and stuff like that. But what I did prior to college, I actually took up some private maths classes, because I knew that the maths wasn't my strongest side, and I knew there's a drug calculation involved into the nursing, so that was kind of a big issue for me, you know. So I did private lessons in maths for a good few months. And when I did actually my nursing exam to get into the DkIT, maths was my strongest result, you know, so obviously I studied really well for it, yeah. But that would be definitely my advice, you know, if you feel that in some area maybe you're weaker than other, definitely do some research and maybe do some classes or even reading in around that subject, you know. Yeah. but yeah, we were given loads of information on the induction day. Prior induction, I didn't really know what to expect, because of COVID. If it wasn't COVID, I'm sure we would have had more information, but it was a completely new experience for everybody, for students and for lecturers,
Yeah.
Even till today, there's still kind of some of the, like our work placement, has been cancelled, and instead of that, we'll be given something else to do, but we don't know yet, so it's just new experience,
Yeah.
But the first few weeks, they were fine. I have to say, I can't complain. It was just the time management that I mentioned. For me, it was definitely, I had to organize everything to kind of put into the shelves or into the boxes, so I know where I'm at the minute as well. And definitely have to be very organized for the courses like that,
And did anyone, this is more for the group, did anyone ever, there are supports there for students, like, learning supports and things. Has anyone availed of those supports? It's not everyone does, but there's things like Math Learning Centre, or there's the Student Learning Development Centre. Has anyone ever?
Yeah, sorry, go on, Laura.
No, you go ahead, Sharon, you go ahead.
I did use the maths in the beginning, in the first year, because I was very good at maths in school. But that was 20 something years ago. It's so different now. So I did use the maths, and I did go to a couple of IT classes because I'm so bad on the computer. And they were very helpful.
So that, I think for like students, it's sometimes useful to know that they're there and you can avail of them if you need them. Some people do and don't. I was going to ask Yvonne, just from what people have said, is a big thing when you're coming to college, confidence? Like, is that the big thing for people? Do you probably are very nervous and apprehensive? Was that an issue for you, or were you?
Not really. I found out really late that I was coming, because I actually applied as a mature student, and I got a Dear John letter saying you're unsuccessful. So I was like, oh God, okay. Plan B, what am I going to do? But then I didn't realize that I had also applied with my Leaving Cert results. So it turned out fine. August came around and the results came out. I was expecting nothing, and because I didn't think I'd applied with my Leaving Cert results, and then I got a letter from DkIT. I was like, what's this about? So it all happened very fast.
Yeah.
I was a little bit apprehensive going in, because I presumed everybody was going to be 18 years old. And
then you see me.
Then I seen Sharon, and I was like, yes, she's older than me. And but our class just gels so well, and it's so nice to have the mix. A lot of our class are actually our older students, even though they might be mature students. They're like they've done VTech and stuff. I think a lot of people, particularly with like yourself, Laura, with nursing and veterinary nursing, I think a lot of people, it takes a while to come around to that course. I think you go into other jobs, but it always calls you back. And that was definitely the case for me. It's like a vocation, and you're saying, no, I don't want it, please go away. And then eventually you just have to say, okay, I'll have to go for it, because this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So me and Sharon are lucky, well, not lucky, but a lot of our class are like mid-20s, 30, so we all get on great.
Well, I think that's the big thing. Like, DkIT is very diverse. Like, if you come on campus, you see all people of all walks of life, and different ages, different ethnicities and everything. So that is very much part of, I suppose, DkIT life. The other thing, just as you mentioned, Yvonne, it is a good point. Like, some mature applicants don't always realize that they don't always have to just apply via the mature applicant route, that there are, that it doesn't exclude them to other routes. And so if that's an option for people, it's always worth considering. And like, one of the reasons why our college is, is diverse, is that there's a minimum of 20% of places allocated to mature applicants. So it is a place where you will find there will be other people who are going through the same experience. So I think that's a really important point to make. GOA, I was going to ask you, just in terms of like, for you, that first few weeks in college must have been very different, because not only were you getting ready for a new course and the new building or wherever you were placed, but you were getting used to Ireland and living here and away from family. How has that experience been for you, or how was it?
Yeah, so definitely it's been a learning curve. So you have to kind of, because I'm used to having food done ready, prepared by my mom, like, washing done by my mom. I didn't have to do anything in the house. So it was definitely interesting because my mom's like, okay, here are a few tips, like kind of go off into the world now. So just kind of left me alone. I call her every week or so just to make sure I'm still alive, But like, yeah, you kind of learn to be independent in a way, which is definitely what I needed. So like, I'm really used to living alone now. But definitely in the first few weeks, you kind of band together with friends to go grocery shopping, to go kind of the first time going to even a shopping center, even was like, oh, we have to kind of follow GPS. Where are we going? Because we're walking by foot. We didn't really want to like spend money on a cab or anything. In terms of college, yeah, you slowly like you find friends because there are a lot of Malaysians in my class, so we kind of hang together. So like we kind of known each other for years now. So like I'm very grateful to have friends who are from home as well. Saying that though, the classmates in my class have been really, really nice, and like some of my classmates mightn't be so well spoken in English, so but they don't mind. They're like really helpful. They kind of still chat to us now and again, like in group work, like we're always helping each other out. So like my first year has been definitely very positive.
Great. Well, thanks for that. Well, just when we were talking about class, so I suppose the next thing I wanted to talk about was the in-class experience, or the academic side to college. How's that going for everyone? So I might just start with Sharon, actually. Sharon, you'd mentioned the very hands-on nature. Can you give us some examples of what you mean by hands-on learning, just so that people who maybe outside of the college don't know what that means for you, for your course, and it'll be different for everyone, I suppose.
Yeah. We do a lot of practical work in the labs.
Yeah.
We'd have a few practicals a week in the labs. You'd be doing, practicing like giving injections and putting in cannulas, and what you're going to actually be doing in practice. You practice on teddies, not real animals. You also, with your work placement, I think it's 6 weeks, I think, for the first year. Is it, Yvonne?
8, I think it was
8, is it?
Yeah.
For our first year, which is great. It's a lot, and it's consecutive. It's not broken up. So you have your 8 weeks in a row, and there's nothing like being out in a practice, getting hands-on practical experience. So that's, for me, I'd be more of a practical person than I would an academic person.
Yeah.
So what I say with veterinary nursing, you don't have to be really academic to do it. I think if you're only going to do veterinary nursing if you love animals, you're crazy to do it if you don't like animals, so you're only going to do it if you love animals. So the chances are you're going to be good practically with animals. You don't have to be really academic, but you do have to be able to learn your stuff and know it, that you're not going to kill an animal. So you do have to be, to an extent, academic, but being practical as well. And you do get a lot of that in DkIT. You have all your labs and that kind of experience.
Great. Well, yeah, perfect. And I might just ask the same question to Chee away. Like, I know, like your program, you don't do work placement as per se, but you have a lot of lab time and a lot of practical classes. Could you talk a little bit more about that side of it? What kind of practical skills are you learning in your course?
It depends on the years that you go on. First year would be more biology, chemistry, so kind of titrations, reactions. In biology, we did what's it called? Not biopsies, but like you cut open the animal. I can't think of the word. Dissection. Thank you very much. So we get caught up on a frog. It was quite interesting. So you get to learn about like basic biology, and then in second year, then you would go into more biochemistry. So we would do PCR, which is I won't go into it, but it's like more it's more specific as you go on. And then in chemistry, then you would learn a bit more about synthesis and like testing materials. So it definitely gets more specific as you go on. It's relevant to the industry as well. So like the moment I'm doing a lot of biopharmaceuticals, so like how we make the antibodies that per se, like maybe Pfizer, at the moment the vaccine is really big. So we do learn a bit about how making the antibodies, and then you learn about like how you might purify it or how it may work. Like even like we did lab yesterday, we did like a pregnancy test. So like we put the antibodies together, see it turns positive. So like we learned like, oh, how the mechanism works and all that. So it's very relevant to industry. So like DkIT's practicals are like the best. I won't like contest that. I would like to have like, work placements, but definitely the practicals make up for the lack of that.
Yeah, no, I know. It's a fascinating area of very relevant to today. But yeah, I mean, I know your course. They doesn't have there is a do an is it do you, in an industrial lab, isn't it? Is it?
No, we don't. We were going to schedule in like industry visits or like to sites, but because of COVID and everything, it's been all
Sure, I
canceled.
know a lot of that's gone, but no, it's I know it's very a lot of because I'm on the other side, always trying to get into the labs, take photographs, and it's always busy because you're always in there. So no, that's great. And Laura, I might just go to you now. Obviously, for you, you're only in so you're still getting to grips with what actually practical learning. But could you talk us even through? I know you've had limited time on campus, but in terms of practical practical work to date, how is that working, and also how is it working online? It'd be interesting for people to hear.
So far we've been for practical skills, we've been in college twice. It was for CPR. We did also manual handling. We were also split in pods, so it was, if I'm correct, I think it was 11 students and 2 teachers or 1 teacher. It was great, I have to say. I enjoyed it so much. I was so happy to actually go to the college and meet people. But I mean, it's still very relaxed. There's no pressure whatsoever when you go in. Like, we each have spaced out seats, and windows are open sometimes if it's in a classroom. So it's a different kind of way of than it used to probably was when you were all in a classroom and just listening or taking down the notes. But yeah, so the CPR was very interesting. I enjoyed it. We were shown a video, and then it was hands-on. Well, mannequins, obviously not real people. So we did that, and then there was like a small exam afterwards as well. So you just had to answer the questions to pass. And same as manual handling, it was just how to lift people and use the different equipment just so you don't hurt your back, which is really important when you do nursing.
Yeah.
That was practical in college, but online we've done like urine analysis. I mean, you can do it online, there's no problem. Like, teachers had well prepared the videos and showed us the charts and the colors. Like, you just have to practice it, but you can do it at home.
Yeah.
And like, you can get it work if you want to. You can get it to work.
Yeah.
And as well for blood pressure, the college actually, they were really good. They bought us the kits to use at home to take our own blood pressure and for our family members. So you just have to practice. The theory was given, which was clear, so then it's just practice basically.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I know your course, like everyone's course, but your course there's a lot of work and placement and a huge amount of time spent in practice. So I know that'll all be to come. So in a few years' time we'll interview you again. I'm sure you'll have you'll have a lot of stories. But Yvonne, I might go to you. You've already talked about this aspect, so I might just get you to draw on it. Is really like the big thing, and we always get it from feedback. People have already mentioned it today, is the feedback we get from students is always the relationship with lecturers is always very, very good, and they're very supportive. Could you tell us like a little bit more like what that means? Like, what types of supports do you mean by that, and what is the relationship there?
Just like Sharon was saying as well, it's not even one specific thing. It's just a general feeling of calmness in our department, because like if something happens, like as I said, and they'll say it in induction week, and you think they're kind of going, you don't think, okay, everyone says it, but you don't think they actually mean it until you need them, and you go up and you knock on the door and it's straight in. It's just it's hard to describe, Sharon, isn't it? It's just a lovely environment, and everyone, you really feel supported, like academically, emotionally, in every way, because our veterinary nursing is I'm sure like Laura as well, like nursing in general, it's a very high pressure job, because obviously there's all that stuff around the pay and like work-life balance and stuff. So I think they want to show us that as students, that the veterinary community in Ireland is quite small, and we all support each other, and that really comes across. Like, we're doing one particular module now in third year called peer assisted learning support. So basically we buddy up with a first year student in veterinary nursing, and we mentor them and support them throughout their first semester in college. And I've loved that. And I take, like, so just it's you kind of feel like you're passing the torch on to the first years, you know, and they just bring us together as this little community in college, which is just so nice, because then you carry that into your workplace, you know, and, you know, all the assignments and the activities we're doing with our first years, you know, it's all to show us the aspect of teamwork that has to be within veterinary and nursing, obviously.
Yeah. And just, we don't need to name names, but like you mentioned that you studied, you did a degree elsewhere. How would it compare to that example?
Oh, I was lost, Thomas. To be honest, I was 17 years old, and it was one of the big universities, and I went in and I was lost within, like, there was 350 people in my first lecture of my first day in college as a 17-year-old. And I went home and I cried, and I stuck it out. I did stick it out, and I finished my course. It was a 4-year degree, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't. There's no comparison. You know, every day in college, I enjoy going in. You know, you're not looking through a sea of gangs of people to find your friends. You know, there's Sharon. Hey, Sharon. Well, the hair gives Sharon away anyway, but it's just so much more personal. And to be honest, as I got older, I just couldn't be bothered with the volume of people and the pressure, and the fact that if you had a problem, there was nowhere to go. You know, you could email them, of course you could, but they didn't know. They hadn't got a clue who you were from Adam. So just that, it's just totally different in Dundalk. It's, you email them, they email you back, they know who you are, they know your story,
and
you know.
And sometimes that means, like, I know from other students, and maybe somebody has an experience, that means if you're falling behind, they will give you a kick up, which is a good thing, you know, that they'll sort of say, you know, you need to pull your socks up or you're in trouble here. And that is also good, that you have somebody, you know, keeping their eye out on you as well. Some students don't like that, and some students do. So I think that's a choice that when you're thinking, like, you know, there isn't anonymity, I suppose, there for them sort of things. Great. The next bit I was just going to talk about was just about life outside the classroom, right? So for people that means different things. Like, we have, you know, under some certain students where we have 17 or 18-year-olds who are, you know, they're having a very different experience to somebody who is coming in as a mature student and maybe has a busy life, a very busy life outside of college. So they're juggling that. So I suppose I'm going to try and pull some of that bring that out for people. So maybe Laura, if I could talk to you first. You mentioned that you have family life and managing family life with studies. How's that going? And also, how do you make sure that you are making friends and, you know, getting to know people that way? And you're still very early days, so I know that that's still going to come to the fore. But how's it going for you?
Yeah, so family life and college, as I said, I kind of I would say I struggled a bit at the beginning, you know, because you kind of think that you have plenty of time, but you actually don't, because we were given, for example, we were given the assignment date quite early, but I didn't do much about it because I thought I'm going to have loads of time, and sure, that'll take not as much reading as you need to, should be fine. And then you kind of try and do family things, work around the house and that. And as well, what I remember from the first few days when we had lectures, some of the lectures were pre-recorded, so you could kind of watch them later. And I used that time for nothing. I just took that as a free time and didn't do much about it. As my advice would be now, if the lecture is pre-recorded, just watch it there and then. There's no point of putting back. And my daughter, she's only 4, but she goes into school, so it's kind of all right. You know, she goes into school, she's there until 4 o'clock. It's 3 hours a day. In those hours, I normally have lectures, or if I don't have lectures, I would do my homework or preparation for the classes, read over notes, maybe kind of repeat what I didn't really catch in the lecture or stuff like that. yeah, the life outside the classroom, our classrooms are kind of virtual, you know, but we do have a group chat, so it's great. I have seen most of my classmates. I think I've seen them all actually. I've seen them all on the induction day. But on when we do lectures, some lecturers ask you to put the video on, so you still see them. You know, I know it's different, but you kind of get the taste of it, you know.
Yeah.
And then, as I mentioned, yeah, we have a group chat. So if anybody has a question, we would ask it there. And people are kind of like, the classmates are very good and supportive as well. You know, we kind of try and help each other. And if somebody is struggling, like, we would send our notes to them. You know, so it's a great support. You know.
Brilliant.
It would be better, of course, if we could meet outside of the classroom, but at the minute it's just kind of screen and that's it.
No, I know, like, I mean, to be fair, what you deserve a medal even for getting through this so far, like, because it is a huge, you know, I don't think anyone could have ever expected that, like, to be even talking 3 months in or to your college and saying like, yeah, I think I've met most of my class. That would not be, you know, obviously the norm, but, you know, it's where we're at in terms, and I think that's a common experience across, you know, not only Ireland, it's worldwide. We're all,
but it's definitely not a problem, and it shouldn't be the reason why you're not going into the college, you know. It's definitely not a problem, and next year it will be easier, even if it's still like that, you know. People are going to have experience, so
yeah, that's it, exactly. It's resilience. I think everyone was talking about that. Great, well, thank you. The other, I mean, just an example here, we have two friends obviously who have made friends at college, so I suppose, could I ask you both, Yvonne and Sharon, to talk about how easy was it to make friends, and how, you know, that's always of concern, you know, even when you're saying you're coming in later in life to college, you're still, everyone has that feeling that, oh God, I don't want to be here on my own, I want to make friends, I want to make connections, you know. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And
you go ahead, Sharon.
I just talk, you know, when I go in, I say hello to everybody. I think as a mature student as well, you've kind of you don't have that boundary, and that, you know, you're a bit more outgoing than you are when you're younger, and a bit more confidence. You have a bit more life experience. So when I go in, I remember walking in, we would have had the induction week where we would have, you know, kind of done our fun games and stuff. I just always went in, morning such and such, morning, so how are you, I went around the whole class, like, and I remember Yvonne walking in, and she looked really cool with the, you know, she had all these cool clothes on. She come in, she was like, hi kids. You know, so we just clicked straight away, and we get on great now. We're always ringing. Geez, we used to go home from college, not get home till maybe 7:30 at night. And then we'd be on the phone from about 8:30 to 10 o'clock or something at night. And we'd meet up after college, maybe, if we needed help, and, you know, help each other out, maybe go to the library where we could talk and go through things together. And it's great to have that support.
And as well as that, Sharon, I think, and probably Laura, in our careers, it's very much team focused, I think. And you know, we were just saying this to one of our lecturers the other day, that I don't think I was kind of went into college with the thing of, you know, if I make friends, I make friends. If I don't, I don't. It won't be a big deal. I'll just get my degree and go. But looking back, I wouldn't have got through the 3 years, well, 2.5 so far, without friends, you know, without Sharon and some of the other girls. You know, you have to have it, like, because, you know, and it's going to prepare you for your career in veterinary practice, because it's such a stressful job, and you need to have people to bounce off, you know, for your own mental health. And I think that particularly in veterinary, and mental health is a huge thing, you know, because, you know, professionals are so prone to, like, depression and anxiety and stuff. So I think it's good to start off, and, you know, even to get the younger students, to get them to be friendly with each other, because they're going to need each other when they get out into practice anyway.
100%. It's a network that you have then to fall back on, like, you know, and it carries beyond college. That's the one big thing that comes, as well as your qualification, have that network or that group that you hopefully can, even if you lose contact, you always knew, like, it's sort of grinding for you. I think it's really important.
Another thing I think is really important as well is have fun. You know, enjoy. Like, we have great crack in the classes. You know, and
doesn't sound like it at all.
But I mean, that's really important as well, because it helps the day go easier, and, you know, you don't want to be sitting there and ask questions. I'm terrible. Like, I'm sure my lecturers will tell you, oh my God, that girl has questions.
Shut up.
Yeah, because I always ask. I can't learn if I don't understand something.
Yeah.
So, and like we come out the class then, and the girls would say to me, "Oh, thanks for asking that. I hadn't a clue what was going on." And like, and I was always the one asking, you know, and they'd say, "Thanks for asking." So I think have fun and do ask questions. If you don't understand, don't sit there and say nothing and go home going, "What was that all about?"
Yeah.
Thomas, we went away on a class trip, right, in February of first year.
What goes on in Ballyhaise stays in Ballyhaise.
We went away with 25 kids, myself and Sharon, and for the whole week they were knocking on our doors. We used to try and sneak off to the local pub to get away from them. We were like parents for the whole week. Oh God.
Well, everyone. So if they were knocking, they obviously were coming to you for the crack. Obviously, that was.
Well, Sharon brought a toaster with her, so
and a kettle. So everyone was gathering around my room at night. They were slagging me, saying, you know, bring me a kettle and a toaster, and then they'd knock. Can we use your kettle? Can we use your toaster?
See, that's experience. That's experience. No one. That's great. Class trips. I mean, I'm sure. Like I've heard a lot of the students going on class trips, so that is all really, part of student life. And away actually just another part probably. And I know from do you currently live in like a student accommodation, or do you live in? No,
I used to, but now I just moved out. Yeah, so but I have lived in.
Yeah. Did you? And I suppose that, like in terms of your friends, you probably have, are you friendly with international students? And then could you talk about how you get to know, people who aren't international, other colleagues in your class?
So non-international students, then generally I would give the advice, just say hi, go talk to them. Like really, a lot of them are really nice and they'll like say hi back to you. And then it's kind of over time, you get to know them through lab class. It's like, hey, do you know how to do this? Or we get paired up with people because the teachers like to break us up because we just kind of stick to our own.
Sure.
It's really hard not to, because you're really good friends, or like, you have more kind of conversations with them. So the teachers would generally break them up and stuff. Break us up as well, so then we would have that interaction with other people, and you do find like really nice like Irish students as well, and like you make friends with them. But yeah, definitely just talk. A lot of my friends aren't as outgoing. They would just kind of stick to their own. I would be like, if they needed something, they'll be like, hey, you go talk to them, kind of. They're really shy sometimes. So it's definitely like you have to like be outgoing and kind of take that first step,
And what's the international student community like? Sorry, I can barely speak. How's that? What's the environment there like? Is it easy to make friends?
Yeah, it depends. My year we had like quite a lot of Malaysian students. There were other students from other countries as well. So like we kind of all made friends there. Depends on the year. I've seen like the coming few years there were lesser Malaysian students, so I'm not entirely sure.
Sure.
Yeah, because of this year, there's not much society going on, or like any really gatherings. There is a Malaysian society at the moment, so you can join, and like there is like a group chat and everything, but they haven't really planned anything in terms of that. So it's just mainly
an unusual year, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's unusual. Yeah.
Grand. Well, the next thing this is the last section, and we're going to just talk about quickly was just, I suppose, that career readiness. Like, so how everyone, I know we're at different stages, but I suppose Sharon, Yvonne, and GOA are getting close to sort of that graduation stage. How has DkIT prepared you for that point beyond when you finish up? I'll maybe start with Yvonne, if that's okay. Just how do you feel prepared for next year, and can you talk about some examples of where DkIT has maybe prepped you for that, or not maybe?
Yeah, I suppose just in terms of work placement, I feel so confident now, like leaving next summer, and even before we finish up, we have like, is it 3 months, Sharon, of placement? And that's generally where a lot of the girls and guys will get their job. So they might work there for the summer on placement, and then they'll just be offered a job because obviously you're a DkIT student, you're brilliant. So that from a lot of people that have left over the years, that seems to be how they progress on. you know, I'll be really sad to leave, but as well as that, I am looking forward to the break from study again.
Yeah.
I have a lot going on in my family life and stuff, and you know, it's becoming hectic with the COVID and everything. But I'll probably will come back for the level 8 at some point, just because I do love studying. But looking forward now to getting out into practice and just feel totally ready. You know, just the amount of people you meet over the years within the veterinary community in Ireland, because you've done so many work placements. You know, you've done large animal, small animal, mixed practice, exotics, whatever. You know, so many vets and veterinary nurses, you know, that you're networking all the time and you don't even know it when you're out on placement, you know, and your reputation goes ahead of you out on placement as well, you know. So feel really good. Yeah.
Well, that's good. And I might just go to Sharon then, just even talk about that. What you're saying there is, you know, do you get different types of placements? Like, is it all, you know, you might have agricultural or whatever. Have you had an opportunity to get different types, or?
You have 3 that you need to do. You have a small animal, a large animal, and equine. Now, we were in second year, we were only 2 weeks into our placement when COVID hit and lockdown, so we were taken out. I was actually doing my large animal placement then.
Okay.
So you do get, generally you have your 3 over the 3 years, you have large, small, and equine. So you're getting a broad
stroke.
Yeah.
And I suppose you get to know, as Yvonne says, you get to know different practices and different people to help with that network. Obviously, when you're leaving.
And over the 3 years, then you're saying like, if you make a good impression on people, then you're saying like, keep me in mind, you know, I'll be finished in 2021, you know. So
No, cool. So GOA, even from your perspective, like, I mean, your industry is just exploding at the minute. There's opportunities coming left, right, and center, and a major biopharma plant actually opening up just out beside DkIT, Wuxi Biologics. Sorry. Like, can you talk about maybe how are you feeling going into the workplace next year, and do you have an idea of what area you want to focus on, or where you want to go?
So the careers office has been really helpful. I went to them because I was kind of thinking, okay, did I want to do my level 8 next year? Because Ireland had like a really weird thing where they stopped accepting students staying after their level 7 for international students. So if you did a level 8, you would have access or permission to stay for a year to find work. So my motivation was like, okay, I need to do my level 8 because I do want to stay in Ireland in the future. So I went to careers asking, kind of what are the companies, what can I do, who should I look for? So they've like always held the careers day, and they invite kind of I think Almac was one of them, Wuxi this year. There's like one Norbrook as well. It's in Northern Ireland. So like there's been like a lot of kind of help and support in terms of maybe start off with these few companies, apply for whatever programs they have. They bring them in and we can talk to them saying, we have so far kind of learned these skills, kind of what are you looking for, what's the pay like. So it definitely gives you an idea of what you're expecting when you graduate. I've so far applied for Pfizer and like Johnson & Johnson and a couple others as well. So like I'm hoping to get a job next year when I graduate. So very confident with my skills as well.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's a great area to be going out into. And Laura, obviously you're starting off still, so you have a wee bit to go, as we say in the north. I suppose, how are you feeling? The big thing for you is going to be placement. So are you excited to go on placement, and do you feel ready? Or I know this semester it's curbed a little bit, but I suppose hopefully next semester that will sort itself out.
Yeah. I was actually really looking forward to placement this semester, which would have been 2 weeks in December, and then next year 2021 as well. There's a couple of weeks of placement. This semester was cancelled, but we are going to have to make it up next year.
Sure.
So you just take it as it is. But I'm sure I will get plenty of practice in DkIT, because I know, for example, our fourth year is internship, so that's all placement based, and
it's paid.
So little kind of studying, so you work in a hospital for the whole year, so and it gives you a taste of kind of try all different areas of nursing, like midwifery and general anything, you know, at all. So I'm sure I'll be prepared for when I finish my 4 years.
And
but I'm not sure what would I do afterwards. Would I stay in college or go out for work? I haven't decided, but I might do an add-on in midwifery. It's only 18 months. So kind of have both general nursing and midwifery. That's kind of my plan at the minute, but that could all change.
No, wow. Yeah, because you can do the HDIP in midwifery for qualified nurses. Yeah,
exactly. It's only 18 months, so it's kind of not that long as well.
Great, yeah, to get that as well. Yeah, I mean, and the other thing, just in nursing, are you encouraged to do different types of placements in different settings? Is that part? Do you know that? Maybe it hasn't been discussed yet.
Hasn't been discussed yet because of the COVID. Yeah, but I'm sure we will.
It's in
all different fields. You kind of get experience, so you can make your mind up then where would you kind of like to go after.
Yeah. Cool. And so that brings us almost to the end. The one thing I might just do is get everyone just to give just one piece of advice to an applicant who's thinking about their course or just thinking about coming to DkIT. So I might just do a round up. My one, I'll start with me because I like to talk as well. My one is go to all the DkIT open days, or they're online, so they're available on demand. And we're in addition to our open days next week, which are going to be day by day. We're having school events. You can also join some webinars. We're going to be doing webinars for individual courses where if you know that you have a particular interest in a specific course, we'll have a webinar for that area, which you can log into and speak to lecturers, hear from students, and really get some more insight as to what that course is going to entail. And then we also have a big open day on January 23rd, which is the week before the CAO closes. So it's a really good time to come, and you'll have an opportunity to meet again with lecturers and students, all virtually, but we'll make sure it's as interactive as possible. So that's my advice. Over to Sharon, maybe for your piece of advice.
If you're applying as a mature student, don't be afraid to apply. It's never too late, and you have so much support there. And also, I think to look at the prospectus, the DkIT one, because there's a lot of information in that as well. So have a read through that, and it'll give you a good idea of what you're doing, what you do each year, and what the course covers.
Brilliant. Great piece of advice. Yeah. And the prospectus, we always say go look through the modules, because that'll give you a good idea of are you going to enjoy the things you're going to be studying. Gia, how about you? Have you got a piece of advice?
Definitely prepare. Don't cram everything during the exam period. Keep on top of all your assignments. Like if you have any questions or any help and you need some help, like definitely ask early, because lecturers will always answer your questions. They rather you have it sorted before the exam rather than leading up to the exam, because they're like, oh, I won't answer my emails that quickly, so they might get to you when you need the help the most. So definitely keep on top of your assignments.
Great. Good, very good as well. Yeah, that'll help people hopefully make life a little bit less stressful as well when you're a student. Laura, how about you?
My biggest advice would probably be to set your goals, because for me that worked, because once I had my goals set, it was like a straight route. I knew what I needed to do to achieve that goal. So that's the best advice I can give to anybody.
No, great piece of advice. Definitely. And then finally, Yvonne, over to you.
Yeah, just do it. You'll never regret it. Life is too short to be in a career that you're not enjoying, or even if it's well paid but you're not loving it. Just bite the bullet, go back, get yourself a degree, and get out and do the job you love. And you couldn't be in better hands with DkIT. So come join us.
Great message. Thank you. Well, there's loads of advice there. I mean, this is the great thing about bringing different students from different backgrounds, from different areas to come together. And like you can tell from even people's discussion, there's a lot of commonality, even though everyone has a very individual experience and different courses, etc. I just want to say before we finish, a huge thank you to our speakers today for taking up their time. The reason why I think people joined was because they really feel passionate passionate about their areas and passionate about DkIT and really want to help, I suppose, applicants or prospective students make up their mind and make the right decision for them. So thanks to everyone for taking the time. Really appreciate it, and hope that we can see all of our viewers in September, maybe at DkIT. Thank you very much.